All right, so we back here on a special emergency podcast of Couch Coach Live. We're here tonight. It's gonna be short, not short, but we got two topics we're gonna discuss. Obviously, we're gonna talk about the Ime Udoka situation, Udoka, pardon me, and Brett Favre. So we had, what's going on, Maui?
Oh, I'm chilling. You know what I'm saying? Got my crown. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's
So
Sunday, you know?
yeah, yeah. So and we got our gas and hoopers because that's our family, that's our cousins. So we got to bring a little levity, a little brevity to the situation, a little levity to it. I mean,
Right.
this is a serious situation that we're gonna discuss. But hey,
We're gonna
we
take
kind of
so serious. We had to speed it up. We were supposed to be on here for about 2 weeks, but we like we gotta do
Yeah.
this today.
But hey, man,
right,
we know
right.
if you didn't remember the finals, we love some Neil Long.
What?
So you knew we was coming up on here.
Oh yeah, I know. Unfortunately, yeah, I know, right?
The committee.
Yeah. Oh God. And I tell you, social media has been just been wild these last few days. With all this stuff that's been going on. So yeah. So normally, we always suggest definitely the timing of it being on a Sunday. We'll definitely have our regularly scheduled program on Wednesday as we'll recap week 3 of the NFL season. I know you're like, well, y'all not recapping games. No. These two situations are a little bit more serious, and we'll be more in depth as all the games play out today. And what a wacky week 3 NFL season, but we'll do that on Wednesday. So let's get to it. So obviously, we got to talk about Ime Udoka. I never thought in a million years that we're sitting here days before training camp and we're talking about Ime is actually as a suspended coach for the entire 2022-23 season. Obviously, the story came out Wednesday night out of all times, the late 10:30 at night, and
Right.
and Woj got this first. Shockingly, he got this one first. Obviously, with about the rumblings. So essentially, pretty much from what we've got from the sources, the official sources, essentially he was suspended essentially for violating team rules and alleged having a consensual relationship with someone on the staff. So I will go around the horn first because it's gonna be kind of multi-layered. We'll talk about like the impact on the Celtics, with the future of Ime, and then also the fallout of Stephen A. Smith, Perk, and Malika Andrews about the dissemination of the information and who should be accountable in this section. But we'll talk about that as the topic goes on. But first, let's talk about just the Celtic impact first. I'm gonna go with you first. I'm gonna go with you, the Hoopers, and either or W or Fresh Web. Who want to go first? Y'all can take it.
You want to start with the Celtics?
Yeah, Celtics impact. Yeah, we'll do Celtics impact first, and then we'll all go around and yeah.
I mean, first of all, the Celtics coming off of the finals run, first time since 2010. Seems like they finally got it all together, and I'm sure we all expected going into this year the Celtics was going to look like they were going to have a chance to compete in the East again. And now, a week before training camp starts, a lot of people started back over the weekends. More training camp open Monday. Now you find out you're without the head coach for the whole season. The Celtics are still good enough to, be good in the East. But we also just found out a couple weeks ago that Robert Williams is going to be hurt. No matter how you feel about that, they just have to or whatever. But I think it's going to be an adjustment because you're going to have questions you got to answer about it all year. Obviously, a different voice running the team. So, are they using Udoka schemes? Are they using the other guy's scheme? You got to be wondering, is he coming back next year? So, I think the Celtics, I would not be surprised to see. Remember, they started off tough last year, and then they just kind of, clicked and got it together. I wouldn't be surprised to see them struggling a little bit this year, but the team is still talented, so I don't expect them to miss the playoffs, but it's going to be a tough season in Boston.
Yeah.
And RIP to Bill Russell, you just lost him too.
Right.
Yeah, definitely RP Bill Russell. And it's definitely going to be a tough season first and foremost because when you lose, when you lose your head coach in general, like that's not something you want to go through for a season at any point.
Right.
And to lose them for the whole season, right when you're getting ready to get started, and you brought in new players who you want to establish roles for, and players you got to get bigger roles to, and just everything you wanted to find for what you want the season to be is started like today. Like this is what you and your coaches all weekend. That's what y'all supposed to be working on, and you don't have that chance. And I know I seen somebody compare it to the Bill Walton, Steve Kerr thing where the 2015-16 season, Bill Walton, I think he went 20. Luke Walton. Shit. My bad, Luke Walton. He won 24 games that year or something, and he was part of that. He was part of that big start. But I look at this as a different situation. They knew Steve Kerr was coming back, so it's like nothing has to change except Luke Walton is in the first seat, whereas I may not coming back this year. I seen the assistant coach name who's taking the spot. I'm not going to lie. Don't know his name. Never heard of him.
I got you.
No disrespect, generic white guy. Like, for real. Like, no disrespect, generic white guy. They do somebody different. He probably just lives in the city in Boston somewhere. I don't know. But I don't know if he's going to have that same dynamic command over the team that Ime did. Like, what Brad Stevens was like an X's and O's guy, so it's like you feel confident that he's going to put you in a position to do what you're supposed to do. Ime is like the rallier along with being the X's and O's guy. So it's like, former player. So it's like, I'm going to put you where you're supposed to be, and I'm going to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. I'm not going to do it for you. I'm not going to make you do it, but you're going to do what you need to do so we can go to the next level. I don't know if this guy is going to be able to do that, and I don't know if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will have that same type of respect for. Not saying they won't respect it, but will they have the same type of respect? Will it be a thing where Marcus Smart and Al Horford, for the first, continuously on them about this is the head coach? That's something we're gonna have to hear. So mentally and just how the games work, this is gonna be tough for the Celtics, especially that first month when you're still trying to figure things out and whatnot.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Maui, on the Celtics' future?
Like I think they lucked up. Not the disrespect. I think they lucked up this year. You had Brad Stevens going upstairs. You bring this new coach in, like you said, January 6th. Before that, they were stinking. It clicked. Then they made it. So they had a bright future. But something still was going on. There still was some major issues there. There was some great possibilities that can move forward, but there still was some issues. I mean, let's go back to the beginning of the season. We're talking about Jaylen Brown being traded, and then there was just names being brought out, and Jaylen Brown wasn't feeling it. There was certain people wasn't feeling it. Like, man, what's going on? And they's like, well, these wasn't even true. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like it's still some issues behind the scene that was going on. And I can't put my hand on it, but I think vaguely it was a lot of other stuff that was trying to leak out also. It's been a crazy trade issue all summer, and it was never anything on the ground. It was always speculation all year. You know what I mean? Even this situation is still information coming out, and we don't really know all the truth. You know what I mean? It's nothing. All we know is he's suspended for a year, something happened, blah, blah, blah. Now, for the future, I don't know. It's always been a toss-up for the Celtics. The Celtics really, to me, has always been an A minus, B plus team. They can get there, or, you know what I mean? For them to be A plus, they got to win. They can get there. I mean, think about it. Hoopers out here, how many times have they made it to the Eastern Conference in the last?
Exactly, right. Way too many times. Sure.
You feel me? So I'm not going to knock them. They've always been there. And like a gentleman said today, Brad Stevens is still working on the work that Danny Ainge has done. You know what I mean? So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have anything negative. Anything is possible. You know what I mean? They eventually going to have to clean a lot of this stuff up. You know what I mean? But I think it's definitely going to impact him coming. I mean, I think I honestly, I think a lot of this stuff can end with him if he do come out and just speak and just tell. I don't know if he can. You know what I mean? Because it seemed like they had a plan, and he went with it and was like, "That's it." And because of everybody, just seemed like they wanted to dig. This is a different time. You know what I mean? This ain't 2011 when LeBron was sitting up there in that school saying, "I'm taking my talents." Or you know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? And then you go Google and you saw another James up there. It's just a different time. You know what I mean? People gonna dig. Just ask Tiger Woods.
And that's something I think we'll probably kind of touch on now in the media part, because I think where he made a statement, but like you said, I don't think they're gonna allow him to go further. But we'll touch that, yeah. But I just think it's just they're in a really odd spot, just considering the fact we're days away from training camp. This is kind of one of those where it's just like it's going to affect this team, and obviously, even with the mystery of this that's still looming, there's still going to be questions being asked. This is something that's going to go away. Which I guess at one point we kind of discussed what Boston should have done in theory, but I kind of know why they didn't do it. Where, so this is gonna hang over them, and then and poor Joe Mazzulla, and actually Joe a brother, bro. So yeah. So yeah, he went. Yeah,
it's very topish.
Yeah. So
he's a nougat. He's very nougat.
Yeah, he used
My
to
bad.
he's good. And he used to hoop at West Virginia.
Okay.
But you're good though. But then and then there's another angle that they brought up about him that maybe really kind of somewhat pissed me off about that.
That's why I thought he was white. I saw that too. Yeah.
No, well, yeah, but yeah.
College, I saw that.
Yeah.
That's what made me think he was white. And I was like,
right.
Once again, but that's like.
Right, and I understand, and see, but that's how the fact that they bought that up kind of pissed me off, because that happened in 2009. So
what happened?
All right.
DUI charge. Go ahead. You might.
He had a DUI charge because he was like a minor. I wasn't a minor. He was like underage drinking. And it was somewhat of alleged domestic violence. I think they said he grabbed a girl's neck. This is not when he was in college. Yeah, and they
like make it like a small thing, but sound like the typical college 2012 thing. Honestly, like it was like back then. Like not as acceptable now or then, but it's like I'm pretty sure he's grown from that.
Right, and then for them to bring that up, this thing happened 13 years ago. This happened in 2009, and he's like 34 years old. So I mean, he's a teenager. Like obviously, if he was getting caught for underage drinking, he was a teenager. Right, and then they even brought that up, and I'm thinking, like, now if it happened like 6 months ago, okay,
he can't get the job either, right?
He can't get a job, or even say, but for them to bring that up, I was like, I didn't like that, and I think we'll kind of tie back into how that was communicated, like as far as because it was said on said show that we'll discuss. As the night progressed, and I'm just like, why even bring that up? Like, but I don't know, but and this is one of the things. And I find it kind of odd. Like it's like because a part of me, if you had this situation looming, I'm like, why y'all didn't keep Will Hardy? Let him go to Utah.
Right.
And that's why like no, this is like it's so multi-layered and so like odd, because if you had the investigation started in July, so you had rumblings enough to hire an outside firm in July, so there had to been weeks in the making.
Right.
And then you allow your top assistant to go to Utah because it was really neck and neck between these two guys, Mazzulla and Will Hardy. And you just let him go, and I'm like, so that's why I'm like kind of the timing of all this is kind of like really just bizarre. And then for it to leak the way it did days before training camp. So this Celtics team, I think, like you said, the aspiration of them going back to the Eastern to the NBA Finals a little bit temperate, because this is gonna affect them. This is something that's not gonna just go over like everything could be washed away. The way the Celtics handle this is gonna be a year-long thing. This is gonna be a situation that's gonna affect this team, for a considerable amount of time, and this is gonna affect this team. There'll still be a playoff team. There'll still be a contender in the Eastern Conference, but I don't expect. If this didn't happen and we were doing East Conference preview 2 weeks from now and don't have and didn't have this going on, yeah, we can make a legitimate case. Say, hey, they could go to finals because nobody's really in their way except for a few teams. But yeah.
Pertaining to him though, I believe if he ain't got no gag order, he could shut a lot of this down. He could speak his part, what he did wrong, and this, and that's final. We've seen it over the years. You go back and see guys that's been in that predicament, and they shut it down. I love my family. I'm doing this and that. We've seen it over and over again. We saw a guy that was accused of rape, went to court and everything, and he had to go on a press conference and say, I had adultery. He cried. And you know what I mean? Like, if he speaks, not through Twitter, he got to go out there and speak and shut a lot of this stuff down, regardless of what everybody's reaching for. And that may be somewhat the truth, but he could shut a lot of it down, because that's why they're digging, because they're saying we're not satisfied with what's being given to us. And everybody's trying to make up in all these different propagandas and try to control a narrative in some type of way.
Right. Now, before we move on, because I'm pretty sure you finna get there in a minute, but it started off as initial jokes because we just wanted to know, but sometimes, like Twitter, y'all did take it too far, just dropping those random women pictures for real, though. Like, like I get it, we wanted to know, and there was nothing. It was just it happened. This is happening. It's like, okay, so. But sometimes, like, that's one of those things that is also that's on Woj, Shab, and the Boston Celtics, because I get it happens, but y'all got to do a better job of protecting everybody in that. Ime, Nia Long, of course, and those Boston Celtics women on that staff, of course, and particular.
And I wanted to bring up that point, and that's actually a great point to lead, because how the information was okay. Because, as a matter of fact, and I remember, so Wednesday, this was when it all came out. Wednesday night came out. Then Tuesday, because we talked on Twitter about it, because it's like, this seems harsh considering the fact that, because all we knew was it was a consensual relationship at that particular time. We're like, okay, well, what's, and we know it's a violation of a policy. So that's when we all were kind of questioning that. And then once I think, because I think I talked to y'all like early Thursday morning, and then before I got to work at like 8, 9 o'clock, it
was
beep,
right.
Everybody started posting her picture, and I'm like, whoa, how do we know this?
Right.
And that's why the thing about that is that's why everybody wanted full transparency for that, because she didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that, because, and especially we live in an age where everybody wants information right then and there. It's not like how we don't sit and wait on stuff no more. We be our own detectives, and then we end up saying, because I don't even think, and I think the Celtics should have even just said, or at least at the department or a non-basketball position or like a clerical or something to eliminate AF. We'll put it that way, because I don't want to say her name, because I think that's AF. We just say, and we don't want to, because they try to out AF for that, because she was at the time is the only female staffer on the basketball part of the team. So everybody ran with that. And it was totally untrue. So just imagine like how she had to explain that to her family, her husband, her kids.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, I didn't like that.
Damn, she married?
I think she is. Yeah, I think so.
Damn, I didn't even know that. I looked her up. I was like, y'all tripping. She fine. I'm sorry, man. I'm for real. I looked out. I said, ooh.
Because I didn't even know. I'm telling you, it's to a point where I thought she was still in WNBA. I'm dead ass serious. Because I
seen one of the posts. I think she was the number 4 draft pick.
Yeah, I remember
like Ivy League play, all-time leading scorer in Ivy League, some stuff like that. Like, no, like she can hoop. Like,
yeah, because she was in the WNBA and she was balling in the WNBA. I thought she was younger than bitch. I thought we might right around the same age, like late 30s, early 40s. But I didn't think she was, at that time at the age. I'm not going to even do the age because big giveaway. But yeah, she can hoop. She was in the WNBA. Yeah, she used to ball. Oh yeah.
And I thought after that Untold on Netflix, what's the dude's name that played for Notre Dame?
Manti Te'o.
Right. I would have thought even that, and I thought the media should have spoke about that and even gave some apologies about that. You know what I mean? That you will learn from that because you really ruined his career and over some stuff that most likely is happening to you right now. You know what I mean? Everybody, I got all types of people. Hey man, did you know Whitney Houston messaged me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm just being honest. Like, you know, I was like, yo, no, that's a scam. You know what I'm saying? But I just
Yeah.
thought by now they would have. Well, we got to understand, man. It's so wide open now. Everybody got a podcast, a YouTube channel, a Twitter account. It's wide open. In the major media, you would thought they would be smarter, man. It seemed like they always trying to catch up. You know what I mean? They don't want to. You know, they want what the smaller guy has. You know what I mean? Because smaller guy, he ain't got no rules. He could do what he want.
Oh, absolutely, right?
Exactly.
That's
That's a lot of the problem. Like you said, the news came out so early, and I feel like Boston did a bad, like y'all already said it. They did a bad job with whoever gave the information to Woj. He just says a female staffer. I go to work pretty early, so I'm usually up. You know what I mean? 3, 4 in the morning. I'm on my phone at 2:00 in the morning, and it said the news is out. I'm looking at the tweet, and it's already is it this person, this person, this person, and it's like that's before the sun is even up. So now that's all you see all day. If y'all gonna have to clarify for me, you know, when we get more into this, I'm sure we'll discuss it. But I want to know. I still don't know if it was consensual or not. I don't understand that.
Right. And that's the thing where and that's what makes this all confusing. And then it's almost like you're the bad guy, you're the antagonist for wanting to know more. Like you can't just like you can't dangle a candle, a carrot in front of me and don't expect me to try to grab it.
Right. I feel like if Austin was saying that it's a team rule, it should have been handled inside. And I may figure out he gets his statement. He say, "All right, I have no further comment." Yes, you will.
Right.
Yeah. But I was thinking about that though, by them being to the finals and the Boston Celtics. Even if they kept it inside, they were going to have to put something out there. And I've been thinking about that all day because I wasn't even going to give this my energy. I wasn't because I'm like, you know, once we gonna move on because there's another story we really should have been. Everybody should have been putting their energy on. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, this is crazy. I mean, that stuff happens everywhere, but I think it's important too, because us as males, especially black men, we got to realize the climate has changed. You cannot do or say a lot of stuff you used to. You could be talking to a girl saying some slick stuff, and it may be a joke to her, and y'all have always done it. But it could be another person there,
right? That don't know your relationship,
and complain about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I was at work, and this girl. They work hard in this post office. She said, and there's nothing about her that's not fluffy, if you understand what I'm saying. But she asked me to pop her back. I said, oh no. She said it hurt her feelings that I couldn't do it. I was like, man, you can't do that type of stuff right now. I know I can't do that type of stuff now.
No. Yeah. And like you said, and I think, it's a new area. Like, yeah, that's one thing too, and this has been around for years. Like, I mean, we've got people in like news titans have just gone, like people who we in most cases thought, well, I say bulletproof, but like, you know, you faces of networks, and they were ousted, like, you know, in an instant. So, you know, it's just like it's just one of those where it's just like it's just odd. It's just this is the time, like we said about the timing of it, how the information was disseminated, and that's where I think, and it's okay to question this because it came literally out of thin air in the middle of the night, like literally.
Like I definitely wasn't expecting to hear that, but I think Boston, for real, they're gonna have to clear a lot of things up because we need to know for sure, since it's out there, the NBA is about being transparent, the media is how they sell it, and et cetera, et cetera. If this player situation, you know, Calvin really got, I'm not going to compare suspensions, but he got suspended for gambling. We know every team he gambled on, how much he gambled. So I just feel like, and I won't go too far on this because we don't know the information, but I just think if it wasn't consensual, he would have been fired. That's just the age that we're in. Miles Bridges literally doesn't have a contract right now. He's about to get a max because of his domestic abuse situation. If it wasn't consensual, he would have got fired. And if it was, I think, you're going to have your team rules, the year is a year, but that's when they should expose everybody that's involved. Because if it was consensual, it's not just on him, respectfully, it's also on the other party involved.
Right.
Tread lightly with saying that because I don't want to say that too controversial, but that's just how I personally feel about it.
I mean, it is. It is. If the wife, that's what she's gonna say. Like, let's say a chick is messing with a dude and his baby mama called a chick and then she say, hey, I like how you treat my kids, but I want to be honest with you, I've been sleeping with my baby daddy for blah blah blah. The girl's most likely going to get upset at the dude she with, but she's also going to say something to the baby moms. She's going to say, oh, you calling me just out of because you feel guilty, you know what I'm saying? She going to say you was the one sleeping, how long y'all, you know what I'm saying? I mean, me personally, I don't need to know if it's consensual. I just think that they make something that's kind of natural. Like like a lot of people, if you go to any job, that stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? It's the NBA. That stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? NFL, that stuff happens. It happens everywhere. You know what I mean? I worked at a grocery store for 20 years. Trust me, that stuff happens. So it's not
every level.
Yeah, so it's not news. And I'm like, man, it should be a protocol to do it better so it won't have to get as bad as it went. And it's done kind of like triggered a lot of people. It's a bad time to really, necessarily do that,
Right. Yeah, this type of stuff is going to trigger people quickly. It's going to trigger a debate quickly. People are going to take sides, as we saw with, like, I don't know who watches it, but I know people saw the, like, Stephen A. Malika thing. As far as, I think it was on First Take. I don't remember.
Yeah.
People going to speak sides, and we already divided on so much stuff. This is like something that you just got to be transparent about it.
Question: how would you have felt if they'd have said he's taking a leave of absence rather than a suspension? Would y'all have liked that better?
Honestly, yes, because I just feel like it being consensual or not changes the perception of everything, because you can have your rules, but my only thing is if it was consensual and he broke a team rule, and this was the first time that he broke this team rule, get suspended for so long. And if it's that, he had because obviously the rumors have been out there. It's been that he had a consensual relationship with one person, and maybe he made advances towards somebody else. So now you don't want it to start spreading around and stuff like that. So it's different angles, but that's why you got to just clear it all up from the start. But leave of absence changes the language. Now, like they really still investigating, but they had like the investigation is done.
Yeah,
right. And that's what should have ultimately happened, and it should have went on his own accord. Like, hey, I'm going to take a leave of absence, because at least we can speculate that, and that's fine. But this is a situation where you giving us information that gives us a gray area. Yeah. So now, and I want to bring it in because I want to more so on the simple fact of the accountability part. Like, as far as, and when people question, well, is the other person that's a part of this consensual relationship, are they going to be held to the same as far as being suspended? Because, and I understand why, and luckily we don't have nobody who gonna be cutting us off and kind of will hear us out. Because what sense does that make if you can suspend him for a year and she still stays there a year or whatever later? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, to me, that's the thing where, like, okay, when he comes back, will she still be there a year later? The same thing is still gonna be there. So that's why a part of me is like, why is he the only one that's being disciplined if this is a consensual situation? Not to put the blame on the woman or whatever, but it makes sense because, okay, if she's still there, and especially when we talk about something like your girl, MA, who want to protect women, this is not a situation where you can protect a woman, okay, and he comes back in a year. That's not protecting her. All you're doing is buying time.
Right.
So my thing is, so that's the thing where this situation, that's why people are asking these type of situations, because why would one party be suspended, the other one stays, and then he has to come back and they all together? So I'm just like, you're not going to do anything. But I'm telling you, I swear that I think it's a situation. I'm thinking this is just me just talking out loud. It's got to be something in his contract where they don't want to buy him out. Because a part of me is like, it's almost like you're holding him hostage. That's how I feel like, because at the end of the day, I think if he, like you said, if he took a leave of absence or he would have left on his own, he would have got another job. Because there's a job in Brooklyn. There's a job in Brooklyn that fits right into him, to the situation. Because
they don't want to piss them Celtics fans off. They don't want him to go nowhere.
That's the thing. But that's where.
Right.
That's why we're trying to make sense of the situation, because if it's a situation where you're presented to us as consensual, okay, well, what does a year suspension do to both parties? Like, because it's almost like it doesn't make any sense, because if they are reunited again a year later,
is it gonna happen again? Like,
it's gonna probably so that's why I'd have been okay for them just firing him and just say, hey, we fired him on the grounds of violation of team policy. And like with Stephen A. Smith, like, and then we can make the assumption.
Right.
But even when they said, and they really should have just kept it quiet how it was on Wednesday, where he violated team policy, and then everything else kind of came out. So then that's why we have to question the gray area, because and then that ain't a situation where we're victim blaming or anything. We just want to make sure, even if the parties was involved, why are they gonna cross path again in a year?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. That's where I get it.
There is a victim, honestly. That's why to me, I don't care whether he had a relationship or not. I don't care. Not that I don't care if it's consensual or not, but that's just where we make sense of the punishment, honestly.
Right.
Like, that you really got to explain what happened after that, honestly.
Right.
Be punishing him. But we all know if it wasn't, because we've seen the Matt Barnes thing, and Richard Jefferson was saying, "No, this is why I didn't say it," because everybody say it's deeper than we know. But you just can't tell me in 2022 that if it wasn't consensual, he wouldn't have been fired. It would have happened off top.
That was the first thing that came out.
It wouldn't even been a discussion. Is he gonna get suspended? Is he not? We did our investigation. He broke these rules. He to make advances towards someone that's unwanted gets you fired in 2022.
Right. They just wanted. Look, they knew they had to do something. Like we just dealt with this guy that played football, right? And we kept saying, okay, well, how long if they gonna suspend you, how long, right? They knocked this in the ball. We gonna go ahead and give him. I was shocked, that it was just that they were going to give him a year. And what they really hoping is, but see, they didn't understand, like, our demographic, how we feel about Neil. Let's be real. We feel about Neil Long, right? So all these comedians and everybody was trying to make it into a joke. Like, this dude, are you serious? And it kind of opened up something, and then it made people dig more. Then they gave it that year suspension. So we like, okay, what's really going on? And then somebody said, well, this is the only person on the staff, and it just trickled down, and then it just opened up even more. They was trying to keep it hush. They was hoping that it was going to go through real quick. You know what I'm saying? And
that's a 10-game suspension.
Right. But
easy.
And then they'll get on us for being chatty patties, and it's like, what? We want to make sense of this, because now we're hearing people say it's deeper than that. Then I'm at a point where he needs to get fired. So that's why I'm just like, y'all saying it's deeper, and it's it's almost to a point where y'all want to just like keep it to yourself. So what do you guys deem, the ones who said, oh, it's deeper than that? Well, what do you deem as right? Do you think the suspension for the year is warranted, or do you think he should be fired? That's my biggest thing about that. It's just like, that's the thing. And then it's okay to question things. That's what I hate about what's going on with this situation. When you think about stuff, you're like, oh, well, you need to protect this. No, I want to figure out what's going on with this, so we won't have another situation where we're putting some woman out in Front Street and don't and what happened with AF, and it's just like that just wasn't right. And
the issue is most people victimize themselves. We're not victimizing anybody. We're not saying What we're saying is, man, we just want it to be fair. We want it to necessarily make sense because we all, in some type of way, especially now, in some type of way, get treated a certain way based upon this because it just seemed like, okay, we the ones, we can't say nothing, we can't speak up for ourselves. If we do, we being emotional or this and that, right? But
Yep.
we got everybody sticking up for the other, and we was like, hold up, how is he? If he's gonna get in trouble, like what bad happened? I also think they piggybacking on what happened in the NFL because everybody he got six. How many games he get?
11. And he
11,
got 11. Yeah.
11
He got
games.
11 games, right?
Yeah.
But remember when it happened, how upset people from the same station that we some talking about, how the women was, it should have been 16 games. And we sitting
Oh,
here
yeah,
like,
people
what
saying,
really is the difference? Like, you know?
Facts. Like if it wasn't, like I said, we just asking questions because we don't know. Y'all put
Right.
out not even half the information, like a third at a time. So it's like we just want to know for real because if it's not consensual, back to coach, point. Don't bring him back with her there. Like that doesn't protect her. Like why would like somebody snitched on me? You don't think he not gonna harass her on a different level if it wasn't consensual?
Exactly.
Like if it was consensual, like a year, like who are y'all fooling with a year? I ain't gonna say what I want to say, but it's Boston, so whatever. It's a black coach,
yeah.
Right.
Brad up there crying on the podium, but you like, come on, man, what's going on?
Right, like, what's going on? And just
Yeah.
And that's why I'm telling you, and even not even to it's got. I'm telling you, it's got to be something in his contract because they got a thing where it's almost like they're gonna hold, try to hold him because this could have been an amicable split. This could have been a situation where hey, you go on where you need to go.
Yeah.
You don't need to know anything of this.
Right.
He could have went to Brooklyn after Steve Nash gets fired mid-season or whatever, or he come back next year or whatever.
right.
And and bygones be bygones, and and that could be a way to so the holding like that, I just think is really odd. And I think probably, and I guarantee you, I think it's probably like it's probably some conversation involved, like some heavy conversation where they couldn't fire him or something type of that nature. It's got to be something of that nature because this, in essence, does warrant a firing in a sense,
Right.
because the situation isn't gonna go away in a year.
No, it's not.
It's not gonna go away.
Every time the Celtics go on a 3-game win streak, when the Celtics go on a 5-game losing streak, they're gonna talk about it all year. And just one more point, to you saying, maybe it's something in his contract. I mean, if it's consensual, they can't fire him. So maybe it was just actually a consensual relationship and some feelings got hurt. Once again, I don't know. Like, because y'all telling us, you see little things come out, but it's like, how much of these little things are true? Like, what can you believe? Because until somebody says something or says the right things to move the situation forward, it's going to be a guessing game. And y'all don't want a guessing game on Twitter to tell the truth. Like, that's the last time you want a guessing game.
And these sports, they so messy anyway.
Absolutely.
That I mean, it was just last week we was talking about the Phoenix owner, and then boom, this hit, and that we ain't even worried about that. He just said, you know what, I'm gonna sell it. Don't even trip. You know what I mean?
and it happened that same day. And it's crazy. It happened that same day because it happened Wednesday. That happened Wednesday, like midday. And then that news trickled Wednesday night. It happened the very same day. And you see how that went away?
Yeah, it
went away.
Don't even trip. I just go ahead and chill. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and then boom, this happened. Like, and I'm sitting here like, damn, is it even that? It's because they saying, man, it's really, really even messy. And I'm looking at this could be something completely we don't even know. It might not even be what we think it is. It's just that they say we gonna do this, man, because this, or maybe it's just a way for them to get rid of him.
Who knows? Like,
I just personally feel this is one of the things where the league and the players, they're just trying to make it seem, or whoever's involved making decisions, they're just trying to make it seem like they're so much smarter than us. They don't want to tell us the real truth because this is real basic to me, y'all. I've said it multiple times. So it's real basic. Either he did something that requires you to get fired, or like you said, somebody's feelings got hurt, you broke team policy, you'll be back in a year because you didn't do that wrong, but you did something wrong. But
Right.
it's so much deeper than that. Means like when they started, I saw Matt. They say when you said Matt Barnes, it had to be bad. But Matt Barnes came back, and I respect him saying, he explained why he deleted his tweet and stuff, and just saying, man, it's a lot deeper than I want to say. So I mean, not to sound disrespectful, was he out there knocking people out? Was what? What could have happened that requires you to get suspended but not fired? But it's deeper than we think. We're not 3. You know what I mean? That's experience life,
bro. Like y'all
we work. We have jobs. We work around other people.
Right.
School. We all have policies at our job,
and not expect us not to speculate. Like
so it wasn't. Right. So it wasn't consistent. No, it was, but
like, and we were shocked. It's a shock. Like, hold up. Like it was like it just go and you like, hold up, let me rewind.
That's why she's always pop up and be like, they give us this so we won't talk about that and don't talk about people speculate like that.
Yeah. You shouldn't with him being married who he was married to, and then him, you ain't heard nothing bad about dude. You ain't never heard nothing bad about dude. He always had this intense look like he, you know what I'm saying? You ain't heard nothing bad about him. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely gonna look like.
Yeah. And that's the thing where I'm like, and even when even with Richard Jefferson and Matt Barnes, I want them to say, hey, okay, yeah, it's messy and it does deserve this. It does deserve him to be fired or suspended. And that's all I think. That's all I want.
And you know what? If they say that, I won't even care what he did as that. Just if everybody that's talking about it just comes out and say he deserves this, that, or the third.
Exactly.
I ain't even gonna look it up no more. Like, cool, it's done with y'all.
And you know what's weird? Big Perk kind of sound like that. Big Perk, he sound like that. Like, man, I know everything, but he just saying is. But he's saying is he ain't the only one that should be getting in trouble, is what he's saying.
There we
go. And good point. So same thing happened, and I found it, and it was so funny because like Friday was like one of those where you had to be there to see this and how it happened. So obviously the Celtics had a press conference at 11 a.m. on Friday to address it. So that was in the same time as first tape. So. Barley and Stephen A was there. Malika Andrews we know Malika Andrews from The Jump calls in pretty much, with a really, I never heard her talk like this ever in my life. And she was trying to go hard on Stephen A. Smith. And, he's making a point almost similar to kind of how we've been talking about as far as questioning why is he the only one that's being punished. And then obviously Malika Andrews went on to say like, we need to protect women. And Stephen,
we need to protect people.
I know, and even Stephen A's defense when he was saying it, he got cut off, and he was like, "Look, you're not gonna stop me on my show." And I'm like, "Whoa!" So so he said that, and then intently, I was like, "Oh, let me watch The Jump," and then I knew when Perk said something, I was like, oh, she gonna cut him off at the seams. She did a Stephen A. Smith on him, trying to.
On her fake baby hair.
Yeah, because he was saying
real quick. So Perk was more on the side. I didn't see it. He was more on the side of like Stephen A. Well, not saying that he was side of him, but he was saying something similar to Stephen A.
Perk was they were going back and forth, and you could tell on her face that she was mad from what even Stephen A. said. Was the jump before the Stephen A. call?
No, The Jump was after.
So she had it on her face that she still had a problem. So she let Perk talk just so she can over talk him and keep going when you let him rebuttal. But he was like, hold up, I'm not speaking because we don't know what happened. That's what she's, there was an outside investigation and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, well, I actually know what happened. I'm just saying blah, blah, blah. And then she said her piece and went all the way to the point that she could just go ahead to the next topic. And he was just like, you ain't gonna let me talk? Like, you know what I mean? When he is the ex-Celtic, so he know everything that's going on.
Still got relationships there, good relationship there, won a championship there, so
and you should be happy that he's on your show.
Right. That's a fact.
But I think, go ahead.
Because even the she was like, "Oh, Kendrick," like talking to him like
Yeah,
he's a child.
Kendrick.
And I'm just like,
Come on, Kendrick.
and like you said, because he was saying, well, every party should be held accountable, and and rightfully so, like how life is, like and then she, like you said, to Mal's point, where she was trying to like cut him off. Well, Shanae said that this is an independent investigation. And then they went off to the next topic. And I'm like, she tried to talk to him like he was a child, just like she was trying to talk to Stephen A. Smith.
Right.
And but the funny thing, and she knows she could, and she did that on purpose,
right,
to get her lick back because she know that's her show.
Right. Yep.
And the point I kind of to piggyback, and another thing where I didn't appreciate their reporting about Joe Mazzulla, because that's how I found out about Joe Mazzulla's in his crime, because they talked about that situation. They said, well, he has paid his fines. I'm like, of course, that was 13 years ago. If he ain't paid his fines, like, we're in a world of trouble. Like,
you know what? You know what? Rachel Nichols would have never done that. I don't care what y'all say.
I don't know.
But no.
But, I mean, hey, you're right. Because think about it. But hey, that's why a girl on Sunday Night Football. So hey,
she'd have never done that, B. Because I was just sitting there like, why are they letting her do that? But that happened because. That me?
Oh,
you good? Okay. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was weird, but it's just showing who she really is.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, and
But I think it's that go back to that accountability thing. Like say in 2022,
that's it.
And you can ask my brother, you can ask a lot of people. I know I'm definitely on the side of, women say things like maybe we should give it like let's listen to what they saying for surely. But if it's like at some point everybody has to be held accountable if we don't know what's going on. All we can say has to be both of them.
Right.
If it's not just one person problem. So it's like for her to go off like that, I understand why she's going off like that. But hey, you have to let people talk because it goes back to you not understanding what Stephen A was trying to say. Exactly. Because you was just so ready to get a point off, which is why which is also what's wrong with them just putting that story out there like that, because people's gonna be in their feelings about this for another 2 or 3 weeks until everything comes out, or until unless the Celtics start off 20-0,
until Brett Favre get away with more money,
or that as well, right? So it's like right now, I think everybody should be tempered about how they talk about it.
Yeah, facts.
But we have to talk about it because at some point we have it's an uncomfortable conversation that has to be had, honestly, because it happens. Like we all regular people, but we know things like this happen. Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's just communication. Because once Stephen A had to steal the show, because that's what she's doing. She's trying to take the air out of the room, and you know what I mean. And Stephen A got it back. You know what I mean. And she tried to do the same thing to Perk, but I do wish she would have let Perk speak on it. But you never know, too, man. At that point, they might have told her, "Hey, go ahead and cut Perk out," because I still believe that all of them know what's going on. So a lot of them know what's going on, and they just trying to figure out ways to talk about it without putting everything out there.
Yeah, and the thing is too, where there's I don't want to say, I hate to say it like this, but it's just more for a contextual thing. Almost like they put a batter in her back, because a part of me is like, who calls in the first take? No one. I mean, as far as no one.
No disrespect.
That's why I was like, call in. I'm like, why is Malika Andrews calling in on first take? Like,
Malika don't got enough pull to be calling in. Like, hey,
I know. I was like, hold up. Like, I'm like Stephen A. I'm like Stephen A. Excuse me.
Right.
And with this subject right here, we all know why we watch it first take. We wanted to see what Stephen A really was going to say. And I was happy that I watched it, because about time somebody said something that I've been feeling for the longest. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, we not sticking up for man. We just want the truth. You know what I mean? We walked for almost a year and a half and couldn't speak about the football incident. We still have it.
Right.
We still have it. You know what I mean? And anyway, you know what I'm saying, man. It's crazy.
It's right, because
that's all we want.
Yeah. And it's understandably, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm not on the side of men, woman, or nobody. I'm on the side of accountability. If what he did is worse than what I've been told he did, he should have been fired. And if what he did is on par with what I've been told, then I don't understand the suspension. And that's
the year-long suspension.
Yeah.
Right. And that's one thing too, where we can understand like there is a line in saying, especially with Deshaun Watson, because there are potential victims in this. But what is conveyed to us about the Ime situation is there was no victim. Everybody went on their own volition, and this was a consensual relationship that a man and a woman would have. So that's why it's questioned. And it's and like you said, and we live in an age where we starve for information. We have information at our fingertips. We can't. It's not like, tonight we go to bed. Okay, we'll go up in the morning and read the newspaper. No, the newspaper's in our hand 24/7.
Absolutely.
So this is different.
Y'all don't think he'll get his job back, man, if they stink next year?
No, he ain't coming
I was
back.
thinking that, like, what happens if they start off?
I'm about to say something.
What happens if they start off like terrible? Like, hey, yo,
I mean, not even make the playoffs. Like, seriously, like, what if they stink next year? You don't think they just say, "Well, we suspended him for a year. We're going to back him up"? I mean, I think that's one reason why they even suspended him, man, for a year. You know what I mean? He did something wrong. We don't want to just let him go. I mean, they went to the finals, man.
Yeah, I think he's more so of a move of keeping him hostage where he won't go nowhere for a year or let it kind of because you really think about it, he can literally he could probably go to Brooklyn tomorrow if he was available. Yeah. Because obviously he used to be a former assistant head coach there. He got a great relationship with KD and Kevin Durant. He could have been the one that essentially could bridge this whole little situation between KD and Sean Marks and all them. So, that's just me speculating. But a part of me is like
that makes sense.
I don't think he's ever going to be a coach for the Boston Celtics because like the whole thing with the year, except in fact this was just you're going to spend him for his second year. Right, as the head coach here, and it's like it's just to a point where, and that's my thing is, okay, if they're bad, then the assistant still stay. Do Mazzulla still? Does he get demoted back to becoming the assistant head coach? Because that's going to be probably his only shot. Because if this team is bad, he's definitely not going to be elevated, to another head coaching position somewhere in the NBA. So. I think Brad Stevens probably pissed because of the simple fact of like, damn, I gotta look for another coach.
Yeah,
I
honestly,
think I may have a coach in Boston again.
Yeah, I'm with that as well.
I don't think it happens.
I don't
think
Frank
Vogel.
Yeah.
He fits what they're looking for in Boston. Who? Frank Vogel. He fits what they're looking for in Boston.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and that's when that's why I'm like, it's just that's like I find it so weird, like the whole thing and like all this happening and like because a part of me is like if they knew this was going on, they should just kept Will Hard, like I said earlier. So that's why I'm like, I don't know.
They traded real hard, or they didn't. They just didn't re-sign him.
They basically gave permission to go.
They gave permission to go.
He took the job in Utah.
That's what Danny Ainge at, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Probably why he wanted to go.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. There's probably some other stuff going on that a lot of people ain't really feeling.
Yeah, but if I'm Will Hardy, my two pieces would be Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I got Colin Sexton and THT and like 20 million draft picks. My ass would have stayed in Boston.
It's so stupid, man.
Like, I'm just saying. Like my best player might be in the 5th grade at this point on this roster. A 2029 first round pick, probably my best player.
But this is what I'm with you. But listen to what I'm saying. When did he leave?
June.
He left in
right
June.
For the NBA Finals, right? Right for the NBA Finals.
All right, so I'm just saying, man.
June, July.
Might have been some stuff going on, and he was like, "Man, let me get out of here."
That's true too.
Let me get out of here, boy. They is tripping. They leaking stuff.
Don't know anything, and a lot of this stuff a lot of this stuff would make more sense if y'all gave us a little bit of concrete,
right? Because all this speculative.
We know what's about himself.
Right. Yeah, because all this is speculation. But right, and that's what it is. But yeah, so the main topic of the night. So, so fellas, we gotta talk about this Brett Favre situation. Your boy, your boy had a cup of coffee in the A. Shout out to Brett Favre.